Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Los Angeles is afflicted with a new form of coordinated robbery called follow-home robbery. We have shocking footage of broad daylight theft taking place. Voters are opposed to Disney's openly LGBTQ agenda, according to a recent poll. The votes come in response to a leaked internal meeting where a Disney executive producer admitted to promoting a not-at-all secret gay agenda. Several Southern California companies are to pay nearly $2 billion in fines for evading anti-dumping laws. The payment is in connection to Chinese companies illegally importing aluminum to the United States. Los Angeles is reporting a rise in a very specific type of robbery, follow-home robberies. Police say the rising crime might be gang-related. Here's NTD's Cynthia Kai with the details.
This is the new form of robbery plaguing Los Angeles. The woman saw thieves driving off with her car, prompting her to chase after her stolen vehicle. The woman is one of an increasing number of victims in LA of follow-home robberies. LAPD told the city's police commission Tuesday 5 follow-home robberies were reported in the last 48 hours.
This is a circumstance where we have patrons that are in retail establishments, dining locations, businesses across Los Angeles. It's not any one particular area. But as they go about their day, as they go back to their car or they're on their way home in their car, there's been this instance of where they're being targeted apparently for expensive jewelry, watches, diamond rings, those type of ornaments.
This marks an uptick in a trend of follow-home robberies compared to the 78% decrease in cases in March. Police say armed suspects follow victims to their homes to steal items from them. The police commission reported such crimes peaked in November 2021. LAPD counted 51 violent armed robberies in September and October 2021. In response, LAPD created the Follow Home Robbery Task Force. It has 18 detectives, which includes 11 investigators from the Robbery Homicide Division, 4 from the Office of Operations, and 3 from the Detective Bureau.
Our work will continue. That the task force will continue its work, as well as additional surveillance resources from our Metropolitan Division, our Gang Narcotics Division, and local area detectives in order to be a set of eyes and ears in our community, so that we're not just doing follow-up investigations in the aftermath, but we're prowling the streets.
A total of 221 follow-home robberies have been reported between the task force's creation in November 2021 through April 2022. 23 of the incidents resulted in shots fired, injuring 13 people. LAPD believes a total of 17 gangs from South Los Angeles are involved in the robberies, but many of them are allegedly from rival groups and not working together. Police are currently investigating the 5 recent follow-home robberies reported in the last 48 hours. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
According to new research, adolescent drug overdose deaths rose exponentially during the pandemic. One researcher said the drug use is not becoming more common, but drugs are becoming more deadly.
The U.S. teenager overdose death rate nearly doubled in 2020, the first year of pandemic lockdowns. It went up another 20% in 2021 compared to 10 years prior. New research from University of California, Los Angeles, published April 12th, said that the level of drug use remained stable, but what changed is the deadliness of drugs. The main culprit is fentanyl. UCLA-based addiction researcher Dr. Joseph Friedman said it's the first time in recorded history to see an exponential increase in the teen drug death rate. From 2010 to 2019, the death rate was around 2.4 per 100,000 adolescents, a measurement commonly used in medical science. In 2020, the rate jumped to 4.6 per 100,000, and then 5.5 the following year. The research was done using a CDC database for epidemiological research. The study focused on children aged 14 to 18 from 2010 to 2021. It is published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Friedman said the increases are almost entirely due to illicit fentanyls, which are increasingly found in counterfeit pills. These counterfeit pills are spreading across the nation, and teens may not realize they are dangerous. He pointed to fake versions of prescription drugs such as Xanax, Percocet, and Vicodin, whose strength can fluctuate. Friedman urged that teens need to be educated about fentanyl and that pills are the highest risk for overdose.
In an effort to oppose Florida's parental rights bill, Disney vowed to put more LGBTQ characters in its children's content. But a new poll shows the majority of Americans don't support this direction and are likely to take their business elsewhere.
Several surveys indicate that most parents across the political spectrum agree on one thing: letting kids be kids by shielding them from gender theory and issues related to sexuality. And a new Trafalgar Group poll found over 68% of voters are less likely to do business with Disney over reports it plans to include sexual ideas in children's content. By comparison, just 9.4% said they would be more likely to do so. Here's what the poll found. Nearly half of Democrat voters say they're less likely to do business with Disney over its direction. 85.3% of Republican voters and 72.5% of independents. Overall, a majority said they would support a family-friendly alternative to Disney. The poll comes after a Disney executive producer admitted to advancing a, quote, not at all secret gay agenda to insert queerness into children's content. This was said during a leaked staff meeting. Other executives also expressed support for more LGBTQ lead characters in Disney movies and programs.
A group of Southern California businesses run by a Chinese billionaire was ordered to pay nearly $2 billion in fines for evading import laws. They are charged for a conspiracy to defraud investors for faking revenue for a China-based company. NTD's David Lam reports.
The Department of Justice ordered 6 Southern California companies to pay $1.83 billion for scheming to defraud the U.S. The company and its founder previously circumvented U.S. anti-dumping laws by concealing large amounts of aluminum imports. In a Monday statement, the department said the entities conspired with Chinese billionaire Liu Zhongtian and his co-defendants, where they orchestrated the bogus sales of aluminum to Liu-controlled companies in Southern California to falsely inflate China Zhongwang's value. Liu was the former president and chair of China Zhongwang Holdings, which is a publicly traded aluminum company based in China's industrial northeast. The DOJ said at the time of an indictment in 2019, Zhongwang was the largest aluminum extrusion manufacturer in Asia and the second largest in the world. Aluminum was sold to U.S. companies controlled by Liu, but the aluminum was disguised by spot welding to make it appear like transport pallets, which are normally made of wood. The aluminum was then stockpiled at 4 large warehouses in Southern California. The companies involved are Perfectus Aluminum Inc., an Ontario-based business, Scuderia Development LLC, along with other companies that own warehouses, and are ordered to pay the fines. The import fees were imposed in 2011 on certain products imported into the U.S. from China. There were no customers or demand for the 2.2 million pallets imported between 2011 and 2014, and no pallets were ever sold. The DOJ said the companies laundered money for this scheme. The billionaire and several co-defendants were indicted in 2019, but have yet to appear in U.S. court to face charges. David Lam, NTD News, California.
A NASA laboratory in Southern California is working to wrap up work on a space probe for a first-of-its-kind mission. Let's take a look at what they're making.
Pasadena-based NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory is working to finish its Psyche probe before its scheduled launch later this year. Its destination is an asteroid made of metal, orbiting the Sun somewhere in the expanse between Mars and Jupiter.
Well, this is a really incredible spacecraft that's going to help us do some really fundamental exploration. We're going to be going to an asteroid that's never been visited before.
The asteroid is also coincidentally named Psyche. It will be the first time examining an asteroid composed of metal rather than rock or ice. The goal is to learn about planet formation. Like probes before it, the mission requires meticulous planning and execution.
Once we launch this, we can't repair it. We can't go up and go fix it. It's got to work the entire time, and it takes 3.5 years to get there, and we'll be orbiting Psyche once we get there for 2 years to collect these scientific missions. So you need an extremely reliable spacecraft.
Laboratory workers are putting the unmanned Explorer through some final testing before it's launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida.
And now we are doing system functional testing in there, where we simulate what the spacecraft we make the spacecraft think it's in space, and we look at how it will operate around the asteroid when it gets there.
The Psyche probe is expected to arrive in 2026.
We're going to take a short break, and here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Public school enrollment in California has dropped below 6 million for the first time in years. We'll look at where the students are going. A new movie about redemption titled Father Stu premieres on Wednesday. We'll hear from the director about how the movie influenced her and how she hopes the real-life story may bring hope to audiences. And hikers rescued an orphaned mountain lion cub. The baby was found as mountain lion sightings are increasing in San Mateo. That and more on California Today. Enrollment for California's public schools continued to drop. It's now below 6 million students for the first time in years. That's based on new data from the state's Department of Education. NTD's David Lam reports.
The California Department of Education said in a news release on Monday that public school student enrollment is declining. It says the trend is consistent with the rest of the country. Total enrollment for grades K-12 dropped to nearly 5.9 million. That's a decrease of more than 100,000 students from last year, a 1.8% drop. According to the department, the declines began since the 2014-2015 school year and are expected to continue into California's future. The State Department said COVID-19 disruptions are playing a large part. Large urban districts in California account for almost a third of the drop in the current year. Ethnicity-wise, total enrollment dropped the most for white students, which went down nearly 5%, followed by African American students at nearly 4%, Asian nearly 2%, and Hispanic and Latino at almost 1%. But groups that were 2 or more races or didn't report their race increased by 20%. Trends show that the largest decreases came from grades 1, 4, 7, and 9. But grades kindergarten and grade 12 saw an increase. To combat the overall decline, the Education Department says special attention is placed on transitional kindergarten and kindergarten enrollment, as well as providing greater engagement for high school students. David Lam, NTD News, California.
Los Angeles Unified School District is facing a shortage of about 400 teachers. District officials have announced the plans to fill those positions temporarily with administrators and other district staff. The school district's superintendent, Alberto Carvalho, said he plans to fill the vacant teaching positions with the non-teaching staff. He plans to draw from a pool of about 3,000 administrators, intervention specialists, and other staff working in the district's office until the end of the school year. This comes after a March report found a total of 10,000 staff vacancies throughout the district. Each school experienced 12 vacancies on average. To fill the vacancies, the district has hired over 2,000 new teachers this school year, but only 26% of them are fully credentialed by the state. The rest are teaching while earning their credentials through an internship program. A teacher who taught in the district for 24 years spoke to the Epoch Times. She said that many teachers have left or are leaving because they are stressed out, and say the strict COVID-19 pandemic protocols have made the situation worse. California has over 24 official state symbols, with the grizzly bear probably being one of the most iconic ones. Recently, a lawmaker gutted a bill related to Governor Newsom's state of emergency to propose an all-new state symbol. Let's take a look at what it is.
The newly amended Assembly Bill 868 is seeking to make date shakes the official state milkshake. That is, milkshakes especially made with Coachella-grown dates. Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia introduced AB 868 last year in response to the deaths resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. But after AB 868 moved to the Senate, Assemblyman Garcia gutted his own bill earlier this year. It went from state of emergency funeral expense assistance to the much more pleasant state milkshake date shakes. According to legend, the date shake was created in the 1930s by a California date farmer. Now, the drink is often associated with the Coachella Valley, which is the main date production region in California. But the newly amended AB 868 has yet to receive a hearing in the Senate. The original AB 868 would have required the Department of Social Services to provide funeral expense assistance under Governor Gavin Newsom's state of emergency declaration.
The focus is to establish the program and focus on COVID-19 deaths that have taken place here in California, over 55,000 people to date. And we want to make sure that we're able to help our low and very low income families take care of that cost.
Some Assembly members raised the concern of fraud, but the bill received overwhelming support in the Human Services Committee.
This is definitely going to be beneficial, but sadly, there's always fraud. And when we look at NTD and how much money we lost there, I just want to make sure that we really put in some safety guidelines here that, they're really checking to make sure that this is legit.
Last June, the bill received bipartisan support from state assembly members, passing the floor with a 75-0 vote and 4 abstaining. But as COVID-19 state of emergency laws come to an end, so too did the funeral service version of the bill. As of April 5th, AB 868 is still in the hands of the Committee on Rules, awaiting new assignments for committee review.
A movie about redemption and a second chance at life hits theaters on Wednesday. The director spoke about the message of encouragement and second chances she hoped the audiences will feel from the story.
I figured it out.
Yeah, 7th time's a charm.
Father Stu is a biopic about a boxer turned priest after surviving a near-death experience. Film director Rosalind Ross spoke with the Epic Times about her experience in making the movie.
It was a very introspective experience, trying to go on the journey with Stu as best I could. And it was a real lesson in humility and surrender. And I think I owe him a great deal for teaching me a little bit about those things.
Actor Mark Wahlberg stars in the role of Stuart Long. The film tells the real-life story of Long, who was a boxer and an actor. After Long got what he felt was a second chance at life, he spent the remainder of his life working as a priest.
He was really just a guy who was searching for purpose in his life and trying to find the hope in a hopeless situation.
I'm praying for you, Bill.
Don't you dare! You're violating my rights.
Mel Gibson joins Wahlberg in the cast, playing Stu's father, Bill. Ross said she hopes audience members can feel the same inspiration and self-redemption that Stu brought to people around him.
If it could only accomplish one thing, I hope it would be imparting the message to people that it's never too late to change or to redeem yourself.
Father Stu hit theaters on Wednesday. The release was set to fall during Holy Week.
Mountain lions have been increasingly common in San Mateo County. Recently, some locals spotted an orphaned cub who is now being nursed back to health at a Bay Area zoo.
Hikers in San Mateo first spotted the orphaned and emaciated mountain lion cub at the Thornwood Open Space Preserve. They reported the sighting to authorities, who found the cub after a 5-day search. The young cub was taken to the Oakland Zoo, where veterinarians have named her Rose and are trying to nurse her back to health. An initial exam indicated that Rose had not eaten in weeks, the zoo said in a statement on Tuesday. The cub, estimated to be about 5 months old, weighs only 8.8 pounds. An average female cub her age should weigh about 30 pounds. After a day of treatment, veterinarians are cautiously optimistic about Rose's recovery. She is receiving fluids and hydration intravenously and being bottle-fed small amounts of formula several times a day. The zoo reported that Rose ate some meat Tuesday morning and was alert. Hopeful signs she will continue gaining strength and recover in the weeks to come. But even if all goes well with Rose's recovery in the next few months, she, unfortunately, will not be releasable back into the wild. Mountain lion cubs stay with their mothers for up to 2 years, learning how to hunt and survive on their own. Orphaned cubs who don't learn such skills are given a home at a zoo.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. In a different year, the LA Clippers would have eked into the playoffs as the 8th seed in the Western Conference, just over 500 with a record of 42-40. But with the NBA's new play-in tournament format, the Clips fell to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a matchup for the playoffs' 7th seed. Technically, the play-in tournament counts as separate from the playoffs and the regular season. But a playoff atmosphere was present in Minnesota's Target Center, and the veteran Clippers team, led by Paul George, struck first. The Clips looked like they were about to run away with the contest early and ended the first quarter leading 26-20. In a stunning second quarter sequence, the Timberwolves rallied to challenge the Clippers multiple times before D'Angelo Russell nailed a transition three-pointer from what seemed like North Dakota to give Minnesota the lead. And they held on for the second half to secure the win. D'Angelo Russell ended the game with 29 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Anthony Edwards also grabbed 30 points for the T-Wolves, whose star player Karl Anthony Towns struggled early and then fouled out of the game with over 7 minutes remaining. Paul George led the Clippers with a game-high 34 points. The Clippers will take on the winner of today's play-in game between the New Orleans Pelicans and the San Antonio Spurs to see who will take the 8th seed in the playoffs and a first-round matchup with the best record in the NBA, Phoenix Suns. Clippers 104, Timberwolves 109. Nadal complained of a chest issue during his run to the final of the ATP 1000 event in Indian Wells, California last month. He played through the injury then, but seemed to be affected by it as he lost in the final match after putting on a great tournament run. Now that injury could have longer-lasting effects than anticipated. Rafa Nadal is still uncertain when he can return to competitive tennis after withdrawing from this month's ATP event in Barcelona as he recovers from a rib injury, his team told Reuters on Tuesday. The Spaniard, who has 21 Grand Slam singles titles, was ruled out last month for up to 6 weeks with a stress fracture in his rib. Test results in Barcelona revealed a stress fracture of the third left costal arch. Madrid and Rome host ATP Master 1000 events next month, and Nadal will be hoping to participate to get matches under his belt before the May 22nd through June 5th French Open, which he has won a record 13 times. And that's all for California sports. Back to you.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news, tips, or ideas for our show, or you just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. We'll see you next time.